like with all these things, when you do a proper big build, I've got some leaking happening on this radiator. Where I soldered, the solder wasn't good enough. So yeah, a little bit more work to do. But yeah, she sounds good. Okay, so it was leaking down here. So from that to that, just with that brush is quite good. So this is going to be probably my donor. So we've got to apply heat to both surfaces, so there's still quite a lot of manipulation to do. So this is now the basis for the boss. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for all the support, the great comments that are coming through for this 250 build and for the 125 builds that are coming up. So I'm going to do another heat cycle, but I'm going to try and get the engine really hot, and I'm going to see if I get any issues at all there. Plus it gives the engine a time to settle in. So let's get on with that now, and then you'll see what I'm doing with the plastics and how I finish those. And you can see just how easy it is to start this bike once it's warm. It's an absolute pleasure. Now, having said that, it won't start. Just checking over everything. Right, let's make these bolts. These are the dress bolts for the side panels, and they are unattainable. I cannot find them. So I'll be digging around through my scrap. I found these heads. They're, I don't know quite what they are. They're threaded. So that's the last of the bolts I've found from my pile of spares. Look at the extent of the thread, like there. I can't have that. It's better. Nice and tidy. At least now I've got the right fittings. Just need to get the ones for the tank now. Okay, that's all the parts pretty much assembled now. So I know all the bolts, where they're going, and which bolts to clean up. They're all cut to size. All the plastics need to be done. I'm outside today, and I've I'm starting the plastics now, which is a long old process. It really is. If you're going to do it half decent, you really can't cut corners. There isn't any real process to repairing plastics, and the reason I say that is because you get different type of plastics, and you get different stains in the plastic, and you also get different levels of UV that affect plastic, and also the thickness of plastic. So there's quite a lot that you've got to consider. My advice is you need to use a blade. So one of these blades is the best way to get rid of UV particularly. Why? Because it doesn't leave scratches, it just changes the shape, and that you can reshape afterwards. So what I've done here is the virtually the impossible. You can see just how bad the surface is, and then this, right? I mean, it's thinner now than it was, but unfortunately that's just the name of the game. You can see right in there, there's still a few little bits and pieces, but it's not going to be perfect. This is going to be far from perfect, but it's going to be good enough. So now you use a 240 grit, I've found, for this particular job, not necessarily for yours, okay? I use this orbital sander, and what it does is it takes out the scratches really nicely. And another thing that I found was I used to use the water, but I'm not going to use it now. And the reason I'm not going to use it now, certainly for the 240, is I can't see the scratches when I'm working on the surface. So I'm just going blind. Whereas when it's dry, I can see pretty much where the scratch is, because it'll be slightly darker, because it's lower than the sanded section. And then as soon as it goes, I know that I've dealt with it. So that's what I'm going to be doing on the 240. It might change again as I get to the finer grits, where I need to get a smoothness. But one thing is for sure, it doesn't really gum up. Plastic doesn't really, unless you heat it up too much. So this has been sanded back. You can see all these surface scratches here from the blade. These are areas that I can't get any smooth. And of course inside here, you've got all this. There's a lot of work to do. There you can see the kind of angles that I'm working at, right? So this is surprisingly easy to take off with a sander. You just got to be patient and don't rush it. Now you can see the scratches there, and then you can see no scratches here. Now this is 240 sandpaper that has pretty much removed all that rough stuff from the blade, and I'm about to head into this area here. So you really want to be looking for that, okay? And just keep going until it looks like that. I can't really tell what's going on with the scratches or not. It'll be very difficult to tell. All I've got to do is just trust that the sandpaper will do its work and get to the bottom of all the scratches from the 240, because now all we're doing is taking scratches off. We're not fixing the UV anymore. That's done. So all we're doing is just rectifying the problem that we've had in scratching. So bear that in mind. So we're back now from the sanding section. You can see how much yellower they are. Not a lot of white. I've also tried to repair this even further to get the kink out. This is a real lamb's wool. Don't be tempted to use the polyurethane or whatever it is, the plastic one. It just burns. But this shines. So let's have a look and see how we go. You know, when I picked up this bike, I was not sure whether I could save these. Don't let anybody ever tell you that plastic isn't porous. So I figured out from the manual where all these pipes go. This rare beast arrived today, which I'm pleased to see. That's going to finish off that nicely. A very kind gentleman has sent me this, an original. I think it is the right side panel. So I need the left side now. Gosh, it's much smaller than I thought. What an absolute nightmare to find. So that's where that belongs, there. See just how bad this is and how deep this is. It'll take me ages to get this one going. Another box of rare plastics, care of WidowMakerTrader.co.uk, who has a bunch of vintage plastics available that are used. So do give him a shout out and see if he's got what you need. Just feed that plastic. Let's give that the final rub down. Yeah, that's really good. Right, on the bike. It's not perfect, but it'll seal it closed. So I'm getting these decals correct. There's only one way, and that's reviewing an actual one and measuring that, because so much of the stuff that you buy online, the sizes are incorrect, and that tells me that maybe the person who's doing the decals not actually been around an original. 45.
Coming out.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So what we've got here is that you just don't find them as accurate as this. This is really as close to the original as you're going to get. Now that is the silver that we're going to be applying for the front forks. Right, let's go and get this onto the bike. This is the difference between one that I bought. I'm not saying that they're all the same like that, but that is what you're getting. You're getting a totally different logo. So what you do when you're spraying on this decal stuff, you must not be tempted to put any more than that on your first spray, because if you do, it will come off. So you literally just have a misted start, wait about 5 minutes, and it should bind. And then you can apply the next coat. Always very, very thin layers, very thin, as you can see. I learned the hard way. So now I'm going to 800. I'm probably going to stop there again like I've done with all the other panels, so we've got consistency across all the plastics. So this is the second time I'm bringing it back. I've had to sand it again. The tank is not in as good condition as I initially thought. You've seen me do some tanks before. So let's hope this time around I can get it to look reasonable. That's after a good few hours of polishing. You can see there's still some stains in there, like there. But luckily that's where the decals go. So we should just get a general overview of the tank as it is before the labels are on. And we'll see how it looks when it's all together.